Rob Carson, back in for another night on News Talk 550 KFYI. It is an honor and a privilege to be here, and we are going to have some fun. Going to entertain you, hopefully inform you. And I'd love to hear you call. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what I'm talking about. 602-260-5394, 602-260 KFYI. Just real quick, as far as Anthony Robles being inducted into the Arizona Sports Hall of Fame, he should be inducted to any Sports Hall of Fame. I don't care. Unbelievable story. Unbelievable story behind this guy. And I'm not originally from Arizona, but I've seen this kid, and I can't think of a motivational speaker I'd rather see. Really, really amazing story. I'll tell you what. You know, there are days you do your own personal pity party, and you say, well, I do this and other things holding me back, and you weren't born with that leg, and you win a wrestling championship. Going from zero to hero? Wow. Wow. Oh, I'd love to be at that ceremony tonight. So I want to get into the affirmative action visa program here very shortly, but I had mentioned earlier that there were so many things that maybe federal officials might have noticed about this terrorist who ran over 8 people last night in New York and killed them, and 15 people were injured. There were a variety of different things that we should have known. This guy was questioned by authorities for interviewed by federal agents about possible ties with suspected terrorists, but the agents didn't have enough evidence to open a case on him. Okay, I get it. He was listed as a point of contact for 2 men who were listed on the Department of Homeland Security counterterrorism database that overstayed their visas, which is, I guess, the kind of the modus operandi. I think that's what happened in that day. Gosh darn it. October the 11th, 2001, wasn't it? No. September the 11th, 2001. I think they overstayed their visas. Yeah, that happened. That was, quite a while ago. You had ISIS saying that they wanted to have their followers carry out attacks. You saw on ISIS, this same website had a picture of the place near where this guy ran over people in New York that was right there. Apparently, this guy's name popped up on a connection with a handful of individuals who were known to law enforcement when investigators ran his name through their databases after Tuesday's attack. We knew that apparently he rented this Home Depot truck a couple weeks ago, and oddly enough, this is the thing that radical Islamic terrorists are doing. They're renting trucks and stealing trucks and running over people. And congratulations, we are now France, and we are now England. We are, for the first time in our history, we have never successfully been attacked militarily on the homeland. And guess what's happening now, folks? Remember, Japan never attacked us. They came real close. I think they might have found some submarines. And Germany never made it on here. But guess what? The same stuff that ISIS is doing in Europe, it's here now. It's here now. We have become what we have always witnessed elsewhere. This guy apparently did a test run. He's not a terribly bright guy, because it doesn't take any genius to say, let me see, Halloween is going to be a very busy holiday, and there are going to be a lot of people downtown in New York. If I just Google what's happening in downtown in New York on Halloween, and I find out where people are going to be, I can rent a truck and run over people. Wow, that is genius stuff. That is genius stuff. And the problem that I guess I have a problem with, and I'm beginning to have more of a problem with as we progress through this investigation, is that once again, maybe authorities have dropped the ball because they were afraid of political correctness. And you may think I'm wrong. Here's the number, 602-260-5394, 602-260 KFYI. For the last 8 years, we've dealt with this crap. For the last 8 years, we've dealt with this crap, and then we have holdovers in the DOJ, and we have holdovers in the Department of Homeland Security who are still living by this crap. And sooner or later, it's fairly obvious that we maybe I don't know. This guy had and I heard earlier from a guy who worked at Home Depot. The guy's name was Dennis. Dennis said, dude, he had the truck for 2 weeks, and he was driving it around, and Dennis said, you only rent that for 45 minutes. It's $19 for the first 45 minutes, and there's more for that. This guy had it for weeks. And again, questioned by authorities. Came from Uzbekistan. Obviously, he and his wife were very hardcore Sharia followers. She wore this garb with the little slits, which shouldn't happen in this country. Thank you. And somehow, he was able to go into New York, rent a truck, and run over people. Sometimes it's so painfully obvious. You know, I'm always reminded of, and I mean to necessarily make light of all this, but do you remember the scene from Austin Powers where all the evidence was happening against Austin Powers with regard to something that he had in his belongings after he was thawed out and released from his cryogenic... I want you to listen to this. There was something in his belongings that he had. If you haven't seen the movie, you may be a little shocked. But it is a very funny scene because it's a point where you're like, you have so much overwhelming evidence. If you can't put two and two together, then you're an idiot. Here it is.
Yeah. One Swedish-made penis enlarger pump.
That's not mine.
That's not mine, baby.
One credit card receipt for Swedish-made penis enlarger, signed by Austin Powers.
I'm telling you, baby, that's not mine.
Yeah, that's the questioning by authorities in 2015.
One warranty card for Swedish-made penis enlarger pump, filled out by Austin Powers.
Yeah, that's the whole. They're renting trucks in Europe to run over people.
I don't even know what this is. This sort of thing ain't my bag, baby.
One book, Swedish-made penis enlarger pumps and me. This sort of thing is my bag, baby.
Again, this is the guy rented the truck, and you know, it's kind of pointing the arrow at the guy.
By Austin Powers. Just sign the form.
Okay, don't get heavy, man. I'll sign here just to get...
Unfortunately, the terrorist attack already happened, so that, a little too late. Little too late there. All right, affirmative action for terrorists. That's this whole diversity visa. This happened in 1990. I didn't even realize it. It was signed off by George H.W. Bush. And basically it allowed, it had a maximum of 50,000 people allowed into the U.S. every year under the State Department program with countries with historically low rates of immigration. Okay, so the Immigration Department said, gosh darn, we are not getting enough people from this country, so we got to even it out. We got to bring in some people, and they might be, I don't know, they might be from terrorist countries, but... We've got to have affirmative action for immigration. We've got to even it out. We've got to have people from Sierra Leone and from Uzbekistan. What a stupid idea. What a stupid idea to bring people in solely on from where they are, not on the merits of their introduction to the States, whether that be education or skill or maybe a desire to become part of the fabric of the United States, maybe learn the language. No, it's just, boy, we do not have enough people here from Uzbekistan. How's that working for us? Tim and Peoria, we'll be with you in just a moment. Let's go ahead and do East Side, West Side traffic with Lee Powell and Steve Tretta.
Boy, we got a busy afternoon out there on our roadways here on the east side, Rob. There's a wreck on the 202 westbound at Power Road. That's a westbound Santan at Power Road. If you're heading home on the 101 southbound, you got heavy slowing. Looks like it starts around Indian School, continues out to the 60. Same thing, westbound 10 kicks in around Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard. You've got very slow ride all the way out to the west side around 19th Avenue. 143 southbound stop and go, Sky Harbor over to I-10. As far as 10 goes eastbound, slowing up Jefferson over to Elliott. Westbound 10, stop and go Broadway out to the 17 split. Wreck in Chandler on Ray west of the 101. And a car bicycle accident in Paradise Valley on McDonald Drive has crashed just east of Scottsdale Road. How are we looking on the west side, Steve Trella?
Well, 51 northbound at Highland still have that accident in the off-ramp Gore Point. We've got I-10 westbound from the mini stack out to 51st Avenue running stop and go. And I-17 northbound between 19th Avenue and Glendale is also stop and go. Thomas west of the 51, we've got a crash. 27th Avenue at Indian School wreck. 59th Avenue at Cactus, an incident. And an accident 83rd Avenue south of I-10. Next traffic is at 533. Steve Trella, 550. KFYI.
Have shot at $1,000. Now, text the keyword money to 200-200. You'll get a text confirming entry plus iHeartRadio info. Standard data and message rates apply. That's money to 200-200.
I am today starting the process of terminating the diversity lottery program. I'm going to ask Congress to immediately initiate work to get rid of this program. Diversity and diversity.
Why did he have a problem with diversity? I don't know. What was his problem today?
Lottery.
I don't know.
Diversity, lottery. Sounds nice. It's not nice. It's not good. It's not good. It hasn't been good. We've been against it. So we want to immediately work with Congress on the diversity lottery program, on terminating it, getting rid of it. We want a merit-based program where people come into our country based on merit.
Okay, now, we've kind of been, and it's a nice thought, give us your tired, hungry, and poor. I get it. And we do feed a lot of, hungry, and we give resty things to people who are tired. But I mean, we are benevolent people, right? We were the most benevolent people in the history of mankind, dear God in heaven. Every weekend we have a run, a 5K that people train so they can support breast cancer, even though they've never run before. When we go around the world, we save people. When we go to war with people, we rebuild the damn countries that attacked us, for crying out loud. And why can't we just say, we'd really like to have the best and brightest, instead of the tired, hungry, and poor. We can feed the tired and hungry and the poor. We can take care of you over there. But here's the thing. If you come from a state that sponsors terror, I think we'll feed you over there. Do you mind? It's going to feed you over there. So this whole the diversity visa program, which sounds so 2017, even though it came around in 1990, Donald Trump went after Chuck Schumer, who's just, wow. Anyway, they passed it there, and in 1990, 264 to 118. I was right out of college. I don't remember it. Anyway, 93 Republicans and signed by President George W. Bush. Okay? No, 1990 it was George H.W. Anyway, 1 million people have entered through under the program. 24,000 have come from Uzbekistan, which, honestly, is lovely this time of year. It is. The leaves are changing and the bombs are blowing up. It's just spectacular. I want to go to Uzbekistan. When was the last time you saw an ad for Uzbekistan awaits you? No. Diversity lottery, 50,000 visas every year to foreign nationals from places like Algeria, Lebanon, Nigeria, Saudi Arabia, Somalia. And yes, I understand there are desperate people in these places. I understand it. But at the same time, what's the number one priority of people in power in this country? Is it people from places like Uzbekistan, or is it people who live here? It's protecting the people here. That's the most important thing. But we've kind of lost that. Let's see. Today on, I believe it was Fox and Friends, we had Texas GOP Representative Mike McCall talking about the lovely place that is Uzbekistan and what we get from there.
They have sent thousands of foreign fighters to fight in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
With ISIS and Iraq.
Other than that, their beaches are incredible. If you can find a spot that there are no mines in it, it's wonderful. Wonderful.
Muslim extremists.
Beautiful there.
The lottery system, I've always been against it because it's a random system to bring people into the United States. It's not merit-based. Completely random. Yeah. I've been working with Chairman Goodlight of Judiciary to abolish this program and put a merit-based system into the United States immigration program. And I think this case just demonstrates why that's absolutely necessary.
You know, you got the same thing going on with universities around the country. And hey, listen, there was a time and a place for affirmative action. I get it. Okay. You're a racist, Rob. You're a racist. No, not really. Affirmative action existed because there was really institutional racism. Doesn't exist anymore. But anyway, there was a time and a place for it. There is no place for affirmative action with regard to letting people into this country. No, it's wrong. Here's a little bit more from Representative Mike McCall.
Giuliani and Judge Mukasey and I wrote a memo to then candidate Trump calling for higher vetting in high-threat areas, and eventually the travel ban came out of that. But what we meant was, why aren't we, scrutinizing people over there before they can even get into the country with a higher vetting system, putting ICE agents over in consulate and
there's an idea.
Embassy offices. This case again kind of cries out for that legislation, but also that policy. And I think it's high time that we do this.
Now we were talking about more vetting with immigration, and the Democrats' heads exploded earlier this year. You remember that? It was racist. It was awful. Bill de Blasio today was talking about how we needed to increase the vetting process with regard to Bill de Blasio today, of all things. I'll get to that. It is unreal. I know I've spent a lot of time on this, but I hope you find it fascinating. Because I do want to get into the hunger strike at the Maricopa County Jail. And I'm going to just tell you, you guys at the Maricopa County Jail, I'm going to mention this again. You get 2,600 calories a day, all right? You get solitary, peaceful cells. I'm a married man, 2 children, and 3 dogs, and I'm on a diet that's 1,200 calories a day. Shut up. We'll get into that. It's like, I'd be like, solitary? Wait, hold on. I'm being punished to be alone? What in the world became upside down here? So we'll get into that. And I want to talk about the Democrats and saying that we shouldn't politicize. Donald Trump politicized things today by saying that we needed to get rid of this, the affirmative action for immigration. And yet I've got some examples of the exact opposite, or the exact same thing happening with Democrats after mass shootings. Okay, so terrorist attack. Donald Trump says to keep us safe, let's go ahead and increase vetting, get rid of this affirmative action. But when it comes to mass shootings, Democrats on the same day politicize it. I'll share the audio. And your thoughts, guys, here's the number. 602-260-5394, 602-260-KFYI. Right now it's time to go to the newsroom with Joanne Bauer.
Thanks, Rob. The FBI no longer looking for a second person of interest in yesterday's terror attack in New York City. The FBI had released a wanted poster of the man, but never named him as a suspect in the truck ramming attack that left 8 people dead. Organizers say the New York City Marathon will go on as planned despite this attack. Security already tight for Sunday's race that attracts some 50,000 runners. He told a voter to go F himself, and now the Maricopa County Recorder apologizing, but not to the guy. A voter complained on Adrian Fontes' official Facebook page that the current mail-in ballots are confusing. Well, Fontes replied by insulting the voter and his mother.
I'm sorry that this statement has caused the discomfort that it has among Maricopa County residents.
Fontes apologized to all of Maricopa County for his comment, but never singled out the man he insulted. Governor Doug Ducey calling on Congress to pass an extension of the Children's Health Insurance Program before funding runs out mid-December. In a letter to members of Arizona's congressional delegation, the governor asking them to reauthorize the program known as Arizona Kids Care. The program currently provides coverage to more than 23,000 children in our state. The governor also speaking out about sexual harassment. Governor Ducey has some tough talk about a new sexual harassment policy released by the House, saying more needs to be done and more can be done. Now, this new policy comes after Republican Representative Michelle Ugenti-Rita claims she was harassed at the Capitol. The bid to build a hotel and tram at the Grand Canyon shot down. The Navajo Nation Tribal Council voting against the $65 million project. It would have been built on about 420 acres near the East Rim, and it would have required the tribe to make some significant infrastructure investments, and then critics also complain that site is on sacred land. 550 KFYI covering the valley with east side, west side traffic. Here's Lee Powell and Steve Trella.
Santan Freeway very busy, packed in right now, Joanne, heading eastbound from the 101 over to Arizona Avenue. Now the 101 southbound showing a lot of slow spots. One of those Indian School out to the 60. Eastbound 10 stop and go Jefferson over to Elliott. Heading home on the 10 westbound, you've got slowing starting in Broadway, and that continues out to about the 17 split. A lot of slow and go on the 101 westbound Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard out to 19th Avenue. Crash on Chandler Boulevard east of the 101. Tracking the west side, here's Steve Trella.
Well, they've cleared the accident 51 northbound at Highland. We still have some stop-and-go traffic. I-10 westbound from the 202 mini stack over to 51st Avenue. I-17 northbound also stop-and-go from 19th Avenue up to Glendale. And 101 westbound between 27th Avenue and 51st Avenue going very slow. We have an accident Thomas west of the 51. And just a reminder, Central Avenue, both directions between Jefferson and Washington, they are closed for the Cityscape Phoenix Ice Rink. It's going to be closed through, pretty much through the end of January. Next traffic is at 5:45. Steve Trella, 550 KFYI.
Love Arizona? Then you'll love Mike Broomhead. Listen every morning between 6 and 10 on News Talk 550 KFYI.
My name is Rob Carson, and I'm filling in again on this glorious radio station, News Talk 550 KFYI. You can check out my daily audio podcast at iHeartRadio or iTunes. Just download it. It's free. Rob Carson Show. Also, I do a daily video podcast where you can see my lovely face in my cool studio. LibertyOneTV.com and LibertyOneTV.com. Today, the president said he's ending the diversity visa program. It is affirmative action for countries that aren't bringing enough people into our country. How stupid is this, right? I mean, how stupid is this? Like, we are not getting enough people from Eritrea, so let's just raise the quota, and we don't care if they might be terrorists or what, but we need to bring in the same number of people. Who came up with this? And George H.W. Bush, who, by the way, is a 90-year-old, apparently likes to play grab ass. Did you read about that? It's like, Grandpa, stop grabbing the ladies' bottoms when they want to do a selfie with you. But he's an establishment Republican, and God bless him, he was a great guy and all that, and that's, an okay president. But an establishment politician. And he signed into the law with 93 Republicans in 1990, the diversity visa program, which just sounds so 2017. I mean, doesn't it, though? It's like, it sounds so 2017, but it happened now 27 years ago. Tim in Peoria has been nice enough to hold my brother, and I'm sorry for keeping you on the line so long. Your thoughts on all of this stuff? Go right ahead.
Hey, thanks, and a great show. Glad to have an opportunity to talk to you. So I just want to go back. I like to walk things back before people get crazy about certain things, especially when it comes to terrorism. Uzbekistan actually is a friend of ours, and allow me to explain. I know that some people say otherwise. But in 2001, when we got deployed to Afghanistan, I, in particular, we used Uzbekistan, especially down in the region of Tabriz, to set up SATCOM to use in the initial attack and ongoing attack of the Taliban in Afghanistan. So they were there. We trained their special forces with 3rd Group and 7th Group and 5th Group special forces through the United States Army. So we've been friends with them. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't want to hold them back from coming to our country and doing us harm. But at the same time, a lot of people don't know about Uzbekistan, even where it is and what we used it for, because we were running passive communications to support our operations in the hunt for Taliban and Al-Qaeda elements in Tora Bora in late 2001 following the 9/11 attack.
Now, you're talking about the administration in Uzbekistan, and there are some other countries like Turkey that we have used them strategically to carry out military operations, right?
Yeah, so, and I would agree with Turkey, with Incirlik Air Force Base that we ran most of our bombing sorties out of, and then off the ships in the Indian Ocean. Turkey was instrumental in our success in Afghanistan early on, as was Uzbekistan. What a lot of people don't understand, though, is the idea that optics change. And unfortunately, yeah. I believe this guy from Uzbekistan came in 2010, where the affirmative action program for immigrants was still in play because Barack Obama and his administration didn't want to shut it down. Now, we all know that people from Uzbekistan were walking into northern Afghanistan and fighting with Al-Qaeda and Taliban elements. We know that via the intelligence. And yet the Obama administration didn't do anything about it, and the George Bush administration or Clinton administration didn't do anything about it either. But just for the purpose of the edification of the end, Uzbekistan was and still can be our friend. Gotcha. But there are elements that we are not controlling the flow, and this visa program has to stop. And it doesn't matter if George Bush Sr. signed off on it. It was a Democrat idea that we need more diversity in our immigration system, and that's unfortunate. And I think that the Democrats have to own it, because Clinton really ran away with this affirmative action program, because unfortunately George Bush Sr. was pushed around politically, and that's why he didn't get 2 terms.
I don't know if you knew this. Did you know that under Bill Clinton, he initiated a policy to bring in more Swedish blonde 20-something females into the country? Did you know that?
I agree with that, though. I do. I agree with that. Just as a single guy in the military back then, I did agree with that.
Yes.
And that's why Bill Clinton on that one particular element, I didn't appreciate him. I didn't like him as a commander-in-chief. I think he took a lot of money out of my wallet, per se, for operational use. But at the same time, he was able to, bring in what we wanted to see on an immigration level when it came to females, man.
He was like, screw Uzbekistan, I'm going to bring in some of the Swedish bikini models.
Hey, and we all know that the girls under the burqa don't look really great under the burqa.
Now real quick, Tim, and with respect to your service, explain your service and when you were involved. Just in a nutshell, what did you do?
Okay, I was a communications element on a long-range reconnaissance and surveillance team with 519th MI, military intelligence out of Fort Bragg. We did counterinsurgency. We did a battlefield assessment, overwatch support, pattern of life observation, and stuff like that. So, I like to say that in a nutshell, I was really good at hiding your seat, and still today people can't beat me, including my team.
It's really funny because I'm hearing you, and you're a badass, and thank you for your service. But it sounds like you've got a kid in the car seat in the back.
I got my 2-year-old, and he finds me all the time because as I age, I haven't been really good at it. He finds me in all my hiding spots, and that's unfortunate. I'm just lucky enough that those bastards in Al-Qaeda and Taliban didn't find me until 2004. Yeah, man.
Oh, brother, you got a 2-year-old. It's a glorious thing. All right, Dad. Hey, God bless you for your service, and thanks for calling today.
Thanks for giving me the time, man. Have a good day.
Yeah, man. Oh, my God, that's so fun. It's like he's talking, we would go in, it's counterintelligence, whatever it is. Can I... Be quiet. I'll get you your binky. Hold on. But anyway, we went in, and I remember when I killed this Al-Qaeda guy's throat. And it was okay, here's your baba. Hold on. Is the milk too warm? Here, take that. Okay. All right. My, how things change, right? My, how things change. And you know what, Tim? And you made the right point towards the end of that, and thanks for all of the input. You survived to live for that 2-year-old in the car seat. Really cool, man. Really, really, really cool. Thanks for the call, man. That meant a lot. I'm so glad you... and I will tell you, I'm honored you held on the phone for me, because I am not worthy. I am not worthy. Okay, let's move on to... I still have a few things I want to say on this terrorist attack in New York, and I hope you will indulge me, because we will get to some of the local stories, including the I think they should call the Maricopa County Jail a spa, to be quite honest. I'm a married man. I've got 2 kids and 3 dogs, and I think they should, and considering you get 2,600 calories as an inmate and silence and in your own cell, I think they should call it a spa. Maybe it's different for you who, you've not been in my shoes and you think it's terrible if you commit a crime and you get sentenced. I think I might want to go there. Anyway, we'll get to that very shortly on the show. But it was very interesting about how Democrats were so eager to say, don't politicize what happened in New York. And the reason being is because they got called out on bad policy. They got called out on this idiotic policy, which I call affirmative action, for terrorists, which is called the Diversity Visa Program. I'm going to get into some audio bites from Democrat politicians saying, don't politicize, and yet on days of the most horrific horror in the country, the same day, Democrats I sound like the guy who just called. I'm in my home and I've got dogs in the background. Isn't that nice? Isn't that classy? So I want to share some audio. Your thoughts on all of this, welcome. 602-260-5394, 602-260, KFYI. East Side, West Side traffic with Lee Powell and Steve Torella.
Rob, we got a lot of stop and go on the Santan Freeway, heading home eastbound on the 202. That starts around the 101. You're going to ride those brake lights out to Arizona Avenue. Watch out a wreck here, the transition from the 202 westbound Red Mountain Freeway. trying to get over to eastbound 10 there at the mini stack. That's westbound 202, the transition over to eastbound 10. 101 southbound, a lot of stop and go. Indian School out to the 60. 101 westbound, there's a wreck. Looks like it's blocking the right lane on the 101 heading west at Hayden Road. 143 southbound, no wrecks, but heavy traffic. Sky Harbor over to I-10. Eastbound 10, stop and go Jefferson over to Elliott. Heading on the 10 westbound, you've got a lot of slowing. Broadway out to the 17. There's a crash in Chandler on Chandler Boulevard. This one just east of the 101. Steve Trella's on the west side.
Well, we got stop and go traffic I-10 eastbound from 27th Avenue into 16th Street. I-10 westbound is stop and go from the 202 mini stack out to 51st Avenue. And more stop and go, I-17 northbound from 19th Avenue up to Glendale Avenue. 101 westbound from 27th Avenue to 51st Avenue is rolling slow. And 51 southbound between Indian School and 202 I-10 is slow. One accident on the surface streets, Thomas Road, west of the 51. Next traffic, 6:05. I'm Steve Trella, 550 KFYI.
Hey, Arizona's ambassador, Mike Broomhead. Mornings between 6 and 10 on News Talk 550 KFYI.
All right, more on Democrats saying not to politicize the terror attack in New York, but they politicize everything else. When it involves firearms, kaboom! Immediately. Papa John's CEO, John Schnatter, has said that he's pretty upset with professional football and what it's done for the free fall of their sales. Papa John's, the official pizza company of the NFL, and he says its leadership starts at the top. This is an example of poor leadership. This is where the rubber hits the road, folks. This is where major multi-billion-dollar sponsors go. You get that fixed, okay? Papa John's president and CEO, Steve Ritchie, backed Schnatter, saying that the NFL deal was a primary suspect behind the decline in what we expect it to persist unless a solution is put in place. So they say, get up on your feet, do not kneel during the anthem, because here's the deal. Papa John spends a buttload of money with you, and I love Papa John's business model, and I really love their pizza. I got to be honest. Papa John's has this brilliant marketing campaign, and I've been in cities around the country where they say, you score so many goals, you get so many toppings. So many home runs, you get so many toppings. So many touchdowns, you get so many toppings. And I hate to tell you this, Papa John's is not going to say, so many NFL players take a knee during the anthem, we're going to add that many toppings. Oh, look, there are 6 guys kneeling. Let's add tomatoes and pepperoni and sausage. And they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. Who hasn't ordered a Papa John pizza because of a sporting event, because of touchdowns, because of whatever? Right? So they're not going to add toppings for doofuses kneeling during the national anthem, which is costing their audience and costing them money. Oh, it's getting real, folks. It's getting real. You know, I guess maybe for a bad analogy, it would be like, okay, all right, Papa John's says that you get free toppings for everybody who kneels during the national anthem, and Papa John's is also going to give you free toppings for every woman who comes forward and says that Harvey Weinstein touched him inappropriately today. You know, it's kind of like that. Sorry. Maybe I'm not the best with analogies. But it's a negative. It's a negative. Papa John's. I love me some Papa John's. We don't do Papa John's often, but I'll tell you what, the nights that we have Papa John's, when you got children in the house, it's like, the dad is the king. He got his Papa John's. I'll actually talk to him for a change. Oh my God, I want to come down from my room and actually spend some time with Dad for a change. It's crazy what Papa John's will do for you. Your children actually want to speak to you again. Okay, let's move back to the thing in New York. We've been talking about it, and I don't want to make light of the terrorist attack. I do want to make light of all the bull crap politics surrounding it. And immediately there was a call, because Donald Trump is kicking ass and taking names on this and saying, you know what, here's the deal. I'm tired of political correctness. I can't do it. Hold on. I'm tired of political correctness. Oh, that was my first Donald Trump. Was that okay? I'm tired of this. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, honestly. Seriously, we've had enough of this political correctness. That's the first time I've done Donald Trump. But he says, we got to get rid of this diversity visa program, affirmative action for illegals, which has been around since 1990. And suddenly, Donald Trump is politicizing what happened in New York. This is...
Look, the last thing...
This is Bill de Blasio.
The president or anyone else should do is politicize this tragedy.
Oh, yeah.
We have to find out what happened here. That work's going to be done by the FBI.
Because, we got to focus on the other stuff, because otherwise it'll show how incredibly wrong we were as Democrats.
By the NYPD and all of our partners to determine exactly who this
police did a great job, and we usually hate the police, but and they're doing a great job.
And it is
really
what moved him to this horrible act. What's going on here? Is there any bigger ramifications? That's what we should be focused on.
Yeah.
But look, in the end, the last thing we should do is start casting aspersions on whole races of people or whole religions or whole nations. That only makes the situation worse.
How exactly does it make it worse? I'm thinking pretty much running over people is as bad as it gets.
The bottom line is anyone who wants to come to this country should be very thoroughly vetted as an individual.
Whoa, hold on. We heard that when Donald Trump says people should be thoroughly vetted in some countries, that we should stop immigration from them because they're terrorist sponsors. Wait, hold on. And he was a xenophobe. He was a racist. Listen.
Situation worse. The bottom line is anyone who wants to come to this country should be very thoroughly vetted as an individual.
What a giant pile of...
But the minute you start generalizing it, especially to a whole religion, then, unfortunately, we're sending...
Catholics keep blowing up stuff.
The exact negative message that a lot of our enemies want sent. The terrorists want to affirm that this nation is somehow anti-Muslim. We've got to do the exact opposite. We've got to show... We respect all people in America. That's about as American a value as it is. Our Constitution says
you haven't read the Constitution.
Our history says it. We respect all faiths.
Sure.
When we send that
message... You haven't read that? Okay.
It helps us in this country, in this world. It helps us fight terror. It helps us have the high ground.
Okay, the high ground. He's going to talk about the high ground. I'm sorry. I just think it's kind of funny because you literally. Okay, let's look at This is Barack Obama. The day of the Pulse nightclub mass. The day when an Islamic terrorist went in and murdered a bunch of people. The largest mass shooting in the history of the country. And here's what he had. He politicized it the day of.
Today marks the most deadly shooting in American history.
Oh.
The shooter was apparently armed with a handgun and a powerful assault rifle.
Yeah.
This massacre is therefore a further reminder of how easy it is for someone to get their hands on a weapon that lets them shoot people in a school, or in a house of worship, or a movie theater, or in a nightclub. And we have to decide if that's the kind of country we want to be.
Okay. So the day of the largest mass shooting in American history, he politicized it. And because Donald Trump says, here's a failed policy that allowed a lot of bad people into the country, suddenly you can't say that because it's politicizing. More audio on this. We've got a lot of your thoughts on this. Here's the number, guys, 602-260-5394, 602-260-KFYI. My name is Rob Carson. I am filling in on News Talk 550 KFYI. Stick around.